Two questions started the thoughts which came together in this program. The first was, why do we celebrate Earth Day? And the second one was, what will the world be like in the years following 2000 if we don't start caring enough to do something about the way our Earth has been treated? The main reason for celebrating is to keep people, especially lawmakers, thinking about the environment. And we hope this will result in laws being passed that look with favor on the environment. The second question is really difficult, but we do know that people who will start their lives after the year 2000 will not be happy with us if we don't at least start making corrections now. Perhaps after hearing the words and seeing the pictures that make up this show, we will be able to agree on four things. The Earth has problems caused by man. It's the only place we have to live. It's beautiful and well worth preserving. And number four, we can clean up and take proper care of Mother Earth. Now, if the Earth moved in much closer to our sun, we'd burn up. If it sailed much further out, we'd all freeze to death. We're traveling around the sun on a very special track. If you want to say that the Earth is a mess and is not a very good place to live, remember that our Mother Earth's place in the solar system is the best place to be. There may be other heavenly bodies in the universe that are better, but we just don't know. So stand up for Mother Earth. I agree that the Earth has many problems, and that is what we're going to talk about. We want the rest of the 1990s to be the time when we stand up for Mother Earth and help set her house back in order. But in order to take action that really counts, we have to look at the big problem in parts. We'll be talking about water, represented here by the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to talk about air. These are some buds up in the air. And we're going to talk about soil, represented here by an Amish farm, and other things. But we know that each has much to do with all the others. At least it will give us smaller parts that we can handle one at a time, and perhaps then we can understand the big picture. We'll spend a few minutes right now to talk about wild animals, and pictures of wild animals will be used to separate subjects in this program. This is an antelope, the fastest land animal in North America. Wild animals are not good or bad. They are simply creatures of a species that behave in certain ways. You may not like a blue jay that dominates a bird feeder, but it is not bad. It is simply a blue jay. And the coyote that kills a rabbit is probably hungry. Now, that coyote was in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, and this rabbit was in my yard in Ohio, so they did not get together. There are such things as rogue animals, but they are the exceptions. Now, we're going to talk more about wild animals later. With those animal pictures separating subjects, we'll also use pictures of National Park Service land. This first one is the Grand Canyon. Let's start with water, and even this has to be divided into surface water, rivers, streams, ponds, and lakes, and groundwater and oceans. Surface water has many ways in which pollutants can get to it. Runoff from farmlands includes fertilizer, insect sprays, weed killers, and waste from farm animals in a barnyard. But the runoff can also be from our lawns, or car washing, or anything that goes into the storm sewers. These runoffs here from cattle go into small streams and large rivers, into little ponds and large lakes. The waste that each of us sends through the sanitary sewer, kitchen drains, toilets, showers and bathtubs and laundry tubs, goes first into a large sewer line. This line takes it to a treatment plant that removes much of the solids and adds air to the remaining part. Then the liquid part is sent back into a river or other body of water. The solid part can be used to make a compost that can be put back on the land where it has a beneficial effect. But if you use strange substances toilet cleaners, oven cleaners, poor detergents, or if you washed out paintbrushes and other items in the laundry tubs, you have added to the task at the processing plant. That surface water is an easy target for many forms of pollutants. Rain will bring down various chemicals that have been sent into the air many miles away, like from this plant. Notice I also put those obstructing lines in this particular picture. We'll talk more about this later using the name acid rain. The easiest pollutant to see is litter, cans, bottles, plastic, paper, and just plain junk, either on the ground or in the rivers. Vandals harm streams by throwing in milk crates, bikes, picnic tables, garbage cans, sometimes with the garbage in them. The buffalo, or American bison, used to roam the Great Plains of the American West in very large numbers. Mount Moran is part of Grand Teton National Park in western Wyoming. The words national park mean that this area belongs to the American people, you and me. Groundwater is far better protected than surface water, but leakage of many kinds can percolate through its protective layers of soil and rock. Gasoline storage drums, the kind that we draw our fuel from for our cars, can and do spring leaks that are not discovered for long periods of time. Mining is an activity that must be watched and strictly controlled because it can be a source of peril to water. This is the Mesabi Iron Range in Minnesota that looks so bad. Toxic waste dumps where the material is not handled properly send some of the worst possible chemicals down to the groundwater. If the quantity is too great or the distance of the water is too short, the filtering soil and rock cannot remove all of the dangerous substances. And remember that anything in the surface water that is making its way down is heading straight for the groundwater. And many communities and rural areas get their waters from underground sources with pumps like this one. We now know that the oceans do not have unlimited capacity to absorb all the chemicals, trash, and garbage, toxic waste, hospital waste, and all the materials being brought down to them by rivers which empty into them. Even in the huge bodies of water which we call oceans, large quantities of fish get killed. Whole segments of ocean bottom are made sterile and beaches are made unfit for swimming. This deer is in Yosemite National Park in California, and he doesn't seem to be very happy. Mount Rainier, a volcanic peak in the Cascade Range, is in a national park in Washington State. Now we're going to talk about the air in three parts. The lower atmosphere which you and I breathe, the ozone layer that protects us from the sun, and then a bit about global warming. We share the little envelope of surface air with automobiles, mines, factories, refineries, electric power plants, airplanes, nuclear testing, and the effects of military action like this bombing. But we also share surface area with trees, grasses, all living plants, marshes, bogs, and animals of all kinds, from this white-footed mouse to this alligator. Some of these things are making it hard for us to breathe fresh air. The automobile in the large numbers that many places have, while others are helping us, like trees. An automobile is traveling down the highway and it's leaving a trail. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, lead if it's in certain states and is old, and ozone. All of these give us problems as we try to get our oxygen out of this very same air. Living green matter in trees, shrubs, and grasses is our salvation, for it takes in carbon dioxide and sends oxygen back into the air. And the huge oil spill in Alaska tells us that we don't always do a good job of handling these materials, even when we know how to do it. It was one of these super tankers that ran aground and spilled a tremendous quantity of oil. An electric power plant might burn coal containing sulfur, and this pollutant goes up and out of the stack. The wind blows some of it miles away, and a rain cloud's moisture absorbs it as the raindrops fall to earth. We call this contaminated rain acid rain. It can destroy beautiful lakes. This one is polluted that you're looking at, and forests. That's the effect of acid rain in North Carolina. It can actually ruin a statue. These instruments are used to measure acid rain. Now we need to do what this chart is telling us. Clean up the air. A golden eagle casts its shadow against the wall of Canyon de Chelly in Arizona. And the geyser, Old Faithful, puts on a beautiful show in your Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. I hope the kids in the audience are getting a kick out of these animals in national parks, which I so dearly love. The ozone layer high up in the atmosphere of Mother Earth protects us from the harmful rays of the sun. We need the sun, but some of its effects can be very bad for us. The liquid or gas in air conditioners, many of the propellant gases in spray cans, and a number of other chemicals destroy that ozone layer. The process takes years from time of release to ozone destruction, and we hope we have not already gone too far. Note, ozone at the very high level of the atmosphere is beneficial, while at the surface level, like this coming out from Los Angeles, it's one of the ingredients of smog, that hanging, stagnant, dirty air that makes you literally cry. And this is 130 miles away from Los Angeles out to the east, and you can still see the pollutant cloud. Holes in the ozone layer are most noticeable at the South Pole in its spring season. Now, the Northern Hemisphere also has an ozone hole. This is one of the most perplexing problems in the whole range of problems. Global warming is the problem that you may have heard of as the greenhouse effect. Now, what we have here is the sun shining in. This is the greenhouse layer, and it hits the Earth. Some of it goes back through the greenhouse layer and back into outer space. Some of it hits that and bounces back and keeps us warm. And that's what we need. The vastly more concentrated layer permits sunlight to get through to Earth, but it does not allow much to be reflected back into space. And thus the Earth gets warmer. Glaciers melt. Coastal cities start having water in their streets. Now, not everyone believes that this is going to happen. But then high government officials said that there was no such thing as acid rain, and that trees pollute the air. The surface of Mother Earth is really being destroyed. Some would say simply being changed at an alarming rate. You can see it all around you. Trees are cut down and a whole area is stripped bare. Shrubs, grass, topsoil. Rain falls and the whole area erodes into small streams with a load of sediment that they cannot handle. Then, usually months later, work starts on another new building to house retail stores. Naturally, a huge parking lot is needed, and even small-town America has a large shopping mall. And it makes no difference that another is already within 2 or 3 miles, and that many of its stores are already closed. Highway construction, airport construction and expansion, house, apartment, condominium construction, all add to the sacrifice of Mother Earth's thin skin. And remember that many pipes and wires have to be laid or strung in from miles away, and the Earth is torn up even more. Electric substations have to be built or expanded. We have sanitary landfills into which our trash is dumped. Most of the material put into landfills does not decompose. Landfills generate methane gas, attract seagulls, sometimes smells, sometimes attract rats, and are not an attractive sight. There are a few landfills where this methane gas is collected and used. One of the items that fills landfills at an alarming rate is disposable diapers. Now, don't let anybody tell you it's 25% of them. It's closer to 1%. But even 1% of a single object in a landfill is too much. And these things take a long, long time to decompose. Now, we've spoken about the handling of toxic waste, and a normal landfill is not a proper place to store such material. Black bears once roamed the Appalachian Mountains in large numbers. This one is in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, Brandywine Falls is in the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area in northeast Ohio. In the case of nuclear waste, we do not know how we're going to store it, and we have nuclear generating plants that have reached the end of their expected life. When a nuclear plant reaches